Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome to another live lesson with Lady Khadija radiallahu anha online college. May God be pleased with her. Live lesson, A-level maths, year 2, pure maths. And today we're looking at continuing from the last lesson and doing binomial expansion, but this time with fractional powers. Yesterday we did a power which was a negative number, but a negative whole number. So now we're looking at fractional powers. If you're following through with the book, it's the Edexcel Pearson textbook, and it's chapter 3, example 2. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So binomial expansion, but this time we have a fractional power. So it's the power of 1/3. And we've also got a minus here. So we need to watch out for that. So how do we handle this? First, we think of what the formula is, the general formula, not worrying about any fractional powers. So just remember the general formula is where you have 1 plus x to the power n. The beginning of it is very, very easy. It equals 1, then plus nx, n times x, plus, and now here comes the tricky bits. So it's going to be quite a complicated looking fraction, and we've got the x term here, so then the next term is going to be x squared. But what's going to be at the top of the fraction at the bottom? Because it's power 2, then on the bottom is going to be 2 factorial. And because it's power 2, we're going to have two things at the top. So here we had n, now we're going to have n times n minus 1. Notice how as we go along to the next number, we're going to drop it by 1. So that's a clue as to what we're going to do for the next one. So then plus, okay, this one is going to be x cubed now. But again, what's going to come at the front? It's going to be 3 factorial on the bottom. And we're going to have n. But this time we need 3 things. So we've got n and n minus 1 being times together. That's 2 things. We need a third thing, which is going to be n minus 2. So it's dropping by 1 each time. Okay, so let's use that general formula and try and apply it to this question here. 1 minus x to the power 1/3. So first term is going to be 1. Okay, plus, and now we've got nx. So n is 1/3 and x is really minus x. So it's going to be 1/3 times by x. The x really means whatever is in this part of the bracket. So it's minus x, which is in that part of the bracket. So it's going to be minus x here. Okay, not too hard. So the next bit is going to be a little bit trickier. So on the top, we've got, starting with n, which is 1/3. But then what does it get followed by? What does it get times by? We've got to take off 1 from the power of 1/3. So I'm going to have to times that by. So I'm doing this bit here, n times n minus 1. So 1/3 times. Now I need to drop 1/3 by 1. So remember, 1 is 3/3. So dropping that would become minus 2/3. So I'm timesing 1/3 by minus 2/3. If you're not sure about that, just type it into a calculator, 1/3 take away 1 to get what this term is going to be. And then 2 factorial, which just means 2 times 1. We don't really need the times 1, so we'll just leave that as 2. And then that's the fraction that goes in front of x squared. Okay, on to the third one, which hopefully you're comfortable with doing by now. So while I draw the fraction line, think about what's going to be at the top. Okay, n is the power, which is 1/3. Now to get the next one, n minus 1, I need to drop that 1/3 by 1. So that's going to be minus 2/3. Think about the next bit. It's going to be times by. And then now it's n minus 2, so I need to drop that power by 2. So that's going to be, so the 1/3 gets dropped by 1. Now I need to drop it by another 1, so that's minus 5/3. So it's dropped by 2 altogether. And over 3 factorial, which is 3 times 2, and it's x cubed. The reason for writing 3 times 2 and not making that 6 is we want to look for something we can cancel from the top. Here we're probably not really going to find anything, but with the fractions things look a bit tricky, but we can find something. So the 2 can be cancelled with a 2 at the top here, so that can just be a 1. Here the 2 can be cancelled with this 2, so that can just be a 1. Okay, so now it's time to clean up and just make it look as simple as possible. So I've got plus 1/3 times minus x. That's going to be minus 1/3 x, or you can write that. Simplest way to write that is minus x over 3. Now take a look at the next term and think, what's a simpler way to write that? So we're going to have 1/3 times minus 1/3. So that's minus 1 over 9. Not being divided by anything, so it's just a minus 1 over 9 times the x squared, and it's simpler to put the x squared at the top. And just have a look at that sign. We've got a plus followed by a minus, so that's just going to become a minus. Okay, so far so good. Let me just check I haven't missed out any signs. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, and then on to the last term, which is the x cubed term. So we've got 1/3 times minus 1/3 times minus 5/3. The two minuses will cancel out. And on the top, we've got 1 times 1 times 5. So that's 5 on the top over 27. So I've got 5 over 27. And all of that is being divided by 3. The way to do that is to times the 27 by 3. So that's going to be 81. So 5 over 81. If you're not sure how to do that, just type it into a calculator, 5 over 27 divided by 3, and that'll give you 5 over 81. And that's x cubed. So a lot of the fractions there I did by hand, but remember you've got a calculator in the exam, so you can just do that on a calculator. Now the signs I think I've got a little bit wrong, so let me just make a correction. Remember I said that the x in the formula is whatever is in this part of the bracket. So the x has to be replaced with minus x. I did that here, but I didn't do that in the other places. So let me just do that now. So you've got a minus x here, which gets squared, and then a minus x here, which is getting cubed. So whatever the x was in the original formula, it has to be replaced by minus x, whatever is sitting here. So if there's a minus 2x here, then you'd have to have minus 2x in the bracket. Minus 2x in this bracket, minus 2x in that bracket. Okay, so let's just change the sign then. So minus x squared, minus squared does make, the count minus then becomes a positive. So it's okay to keep this sign as a minus. Here we've got a problem. These two minuses cancelled out. But when I do minus x cubed, I'll still end up with a minus x cubed. So I just need to put a minus here. Okay, join me tomorrow for more on binomial expansion. And just before I go, there's one more bit which is valid. This binomial expansion technique is only valid when this bit here is less than 1. And it's not the whole thing, but it's the modulus of it. So here, in this actual question, minus x, the modulus of minus x has to be less than 1. And just remember that the modulus means that we ignore the minus sign, so it's really x modulus is less than 1. Okay, join me tomorrow for more on binomial expansion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be with you and the blessings of God.